This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million.
He is hell-bent on global domination.
We just broke our 100,000 units sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
Okay, Top Tribe, this week's winner of the $100 is none other than Derek Rodenbeck. He is an artist and he's looking to increase his revenue. If you want your chance to enter and to win $100 each Monday on the show, simply subscribe to the podcast on iTunes now and then text the word Nathan to 33444 to prove that you did it. Again, text the word Nathan to 33444. Guys, if you want an easy tool to use to book your meetings back to back, to batch your calls, to make sure people actually show up when they schedule, you want to use Acuity Scheduling. It's what I use for all my podcast interviews at nathanlatka.com/schedule. I'll tell you more about how I use it later on in the episode. Nathan Latka here. This is episode 521. Coming up tomorrow morning, you're going to hear from Neil Berman. He founded his company Delivra in 1999. He's now 67 years old, doing $15 million in 2017 revenue. That's his projection. They're currently doing $700,000 per month in monthly recurring revenue with over 450 enterprise customers. Top Tribe, good morning. Nathan Latka here, and our guest today is Chuck Sillari. He was born and raised right outside of Boston. He's a graduate of Boston College and Suffolk Law School. He's a lawyer and a real estate developer and currently focusing full-time on the expansion of his nationally known Boston burger company and new e-commerce business called BurgaBox.com. In the process of disrupting both the meal kit industry and full-service casual dining experience. Chuck, are you ready to take us to the top?
I am, Nathan. I'm ready to go.
All right. Tell us first, tell us about the Boston Burger Company. It sounds like this is a physical location. What was total 2015 revenue?
2015 revenue was about $5.5 million. That was between 3 locations that we have.
Okay. And are those all in Boston?
Yeah, well, actually, one is in Boston proper, one is in Cambridge, in Harvard Square, right outside of Harvard University, and one is in another city that's right next to Boston called Somerville, Massachusetts.
Okay, very cool. And so walk us through, now that we kind of know kind of a sense of size of the business, why'd you do this? I mean, you're a lawyer, a real estate developer. Why get into burgers?
You know, I always loved the restaurant industry. When I was a kid, you know, from probably 8th grade, I always worked in restaurants. I love the action. I love the energy. And, you know, I always wanted to keep my fingers in the restaurant business. So even when I graduated from law school, I had opened up a small Italian restaurant with a friend of mine. And, you know, it's just tough to try to run 2 businesses at the same time. So that little place that I have, you know, really never took off the way that it should have. Because I always had one foot in my law office, one foot in the restaurant. And, you know, after practicing law for about probably 13 years, I finally decided that it was time to jump into the restaurant business full time because that's what I love to do.
So what year was that, by the way, that you launched your first kind of Boston Burger?
Boston Burger Company opened up in 2009. I still had my law office until about 2013. And then in 2013, I knew that Boston Burger Company had the potential to really grow. So that's when I made that decision to start working in the restaurant business full time. And we opened up 2 more locations. Yeah.
Why'd you know it had that potential?
You know, people really love what we were doing. We've had quite a bit of national press. We were on the Food Network, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Guy Fieri came in and filmed the show there. We were on the Rachel Ray Show. The Travel Channel has been in our place to film. So we really became a destination. When people came to Boston, we were on that bucket list that they wanted to visit in Boston. And once I saw that, I realized that there was potential to take this concept, to more places, more locations. So I figured if I'm going to do it, now's the time to jump in.
And have you totally bootstrapped this, or did you raise capital?
We brought on one investor. He was a local restaurateur who had a great reputation in Boston, and he's been great so far. But he invested in one of the restaurants. Then he put up some money for the second one. But for the most part, I mean, they run themselves. They're very self-sufficient.
How much did he put into the first one?
The first one, he put up all the money to open up the first. I'm sorry, he didn't put in any money to the first one. The first one we opened up ourselves. The second location, he approached us, and he put up the money to build it out, and I think it was around $750,000.
How did he find you?
We were pretty well known. We were on Boston Burger Company is a pretty well known name in Boston, and he found us just from just doing what we're doing.
So your second business restaurant, it sounds like, cost about $750,000 to open. Most of that money came from the investor. What it cost you to open up your first location?
Oh, geez. I don't know, maybe $60,000. It was a tiny little place. It was 24 seats. We opened it up. We knew that there was a void in the market in Boston for a casual but full service place that focused on burgers. I mean, you had your fast food burger places, you had pubs and restaurants that might have had one or two burgers on the menu, but there were really no cool burger concepts where you could come in, sit down, have a great selection of beers, some nice waitresses, and hang out and have a good time. So we knew that market, there was a market for that. There was nothing going on. So we did it. And right away, we had lines out the door.
Why'd the first one to open cost $60,000? The second one cost over 10 times that at $750,000.
Because the first one was already an existing restaurant space. So, it had a little kitchen in it. It had the ventilation going outside that you needed. I mean, it was up to code. So basically what we had to do is we had to come in and we had to just, cosmetics, a buff and fluff. We had some local artists come in, paint, do some great paintings on the walls. We put in some TVs, put in some draft beer lines, and that's really all we had to do. But the second location was a complete build out. It was an old dilapidated convenience store right on Boylston Street in Boston, on the campus of the Berklee College of Music. So we had to come in. Is that
why you did it? Was the location 10 times better, so it was worth spending all that extra money for the build out?
The location really wasn't 10 times better. Our first location is awesome. We just really lucked out with the first location. The second location, I knew it had great potential. We had somebody that believed in what we were doing. They were willing to put up the money. And, based on the numbers that we were doing in the first place, we knew that it could sustain that type of investment.
What were those numbers? What were those numbers? And what did you have historical data at that point?
The first location. So if we're going, I'll tell you right now, our first year that we opened, we were doing maybe $700,000 out of a little tiny space in the first location. And that was gross. Gross. But you got to keep in mind, the place is tiny. Per square foot, those numbers were like unheard of. And now that same location. What's that?
What was the square footage on the first one?
About 450 square feet.
Okay, got it.
That's tiny. But now that same location is doing about $1.7 million.
Okay, that's what it'll do in 2016?
In 2016, those are the numbers from 2015. 2016 is probably going to do about $1.8 million.
Okay, very cool. So what did you see? What did you see in those numbers that said, yeah, we can sustain basically? I imagine it was debt, right? Was it a convertible note or equity that the guy put in $754 in the second one?
He put in. It was debt, so he's getting paid back.
So how'd you know that you could service that based off the first? So let's say the first year of the second restaurant did the same as your first year of your first restaurant, which is about $700,000. What percentage of that goes to the investor?
So that investor, for the money he put up, he is a 50% partner in that.
Okay.
So the way we have that deal structured, and I don't even know if this is the best deal. We probably didn't.
Come on, you're a lawyer, Chuck. You're supposed to be a killer.
You're absolutely right. And sometimes you let your guard down. That's why they say a lawyer should never represent himself. It's the worst thing you can do. But anyways, so the way we have it structured right now is, at the end of the month, we see what the place did for profit. A third of that goes to the debt. A third of that goes to the profit, and a third of the profit comes to us. And you know what? He's a great partner. He doesn't interfere with the business. He's willing to open up more restaurants with us and it's a great relationship. So I don't think we mind giving him that type of a return just because, we've had a bad partner in the past. And this, I think it's worth it being in business with him.
What are for those folks listening not familiar with the restaurant industry, what's your gross margin? So after cost of goods sold, what percentage is your gross margin about?
You probably want to be around that 20% range, between 15 and 20% after everything. After your occupation costs, after your taxes, after your labor, after your food costs, you probably want to be around 20%.
Okay, that's net though. What about gross? Just consider cost of goods sold, food costs.
Your food costs, we try to keep them under 30, probably try to keep them around 28, 29%.
Okay. So is it fair to say then you've got on every dollar of kind of burger revenue coming in, you're spending on that dollar, you're spending about 70 cents on the buns, the meat, the lettuce, the ketchup. Then you're spending about 9 cents on the other kind of soft costs, the restaurant.
No, so maybe I gave you the information backwards.
Okay.
So for every dollar that we bring in, we try to spend under 30 cents on the actual food.
Oh, it was just reversed. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so we try to spend under 30 cents on the actual food, and then your labor costs are probably like another 30, right? So 30 and 30 is 60. Then you count in your occupation costs, which is your rent, your heat, your electric, your cable, everything else. You want to keep that under 10%. So you get, so then you have another 30% to play with.
You're getting about 20 cents to the bottom line. Is that right? Every dollar you come in,
for every dollar that you bring in, you want to put about 20 cents in your pocket. Exactly.
So you're then taking that 20 cents and dividing it a third to the investor, a third back into the business as profit, and a third to you. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay. And each month on the second location, what are you doing? About 100, 110, 120 grand?
The second location is going to do about $2.5 million in 2016.
Okay, got it. Oh, sorry, that was your first one. So yeah, each restaurant is doing somewhere between 120 and 180 grand in monthly revenue. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very cool. So it's fair to say each restaurant is, profiting somewhere, call it between, 30 and, 50K per month.
That's about right. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. That's great. So what's the plan? How do you build this thing into a bigger business?
So, it's funny. When you have a restaurant, you realize that no matter how busy you are, no matter how long the lines are out the door, you only have so many seats and there are only so many hours in the day that some people can actually come in and order and you can create revenue. So, we saw that this meal delivery kit industry was really booming. And we thought we saw an opportunity to, let's see if we can create these meal kits around the awesome burgers that we're making at Boston Burger Company. A big percentage of our customers that come in are either tourists or college students that are in Boston, coming here for 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is. Then they go back to their home states. But a lot of them have gotten in touch with us and say, I really miss Boston Burger Company. Jesus, why don't you guys open something up, in my state near where I live? Maybe that's going to happen someday. We see some potential with franchise, but we said, let's give this meal delivery kit a shot. So, it was back last winter, I would say February. We
2015.
We started doing some research and we started, putting together the processes and the systems to send out these burger kits. And so far, it's been a success. I mean, we're fairly new. We're only into our third month. But the orders are coming in, the hits are coming in on the website. People are giving us great feedback. Our first month, we sold about 100 kits. The second month, we sold about 150. This month, we're really starting to figure out, what works, what doesn't work. We're probably slated to sell about 400 kits this month.
Convert that to revenue.
The revenue's not huge yet, but it's climbing and it's growing.
Convert that to revenue for us. 400 kits. What is that in revenue? $1 grand, $2 grand, $4 grand, $8 grand?
So the kits range anywhere from $45 to like $80, depending on what you put in it.
Okay. Do we do 40 times 400, something like that?
Yeah. So the beauty of it is, we're selling this stuff, and we're selling stuff that we're already doing. So we know that what we're making is great. People love it. We already have all the stuff in house. It's just a matter of shipping it out the door. So we don't have to front a lot of money to do these kits. We have the product already. We have the staff already.
So Chuck, just to round this out for the audience. So guys, you can kind of reverse engineer this and see kind of what Chuck is doing at BurgaBox.com, which I'll link to in the show notes. You launched it about 3 months ago, which would have been about August here, 2016. And it sounds like you're going to do about 400 kits here in November 2016, which is, makes up Chuck about 16 grand in revenue, 40 bucks a pop times about 400 orders.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And is this a subscription fee, or do they come back? They have to keep coming back and buying?
It's both. You can get the monthly box where every month we come up with a crazy burger that we haven't done before. That gives people something to look forward to every month. And, you can buy it for yourself. You can get it for a gift for somebody, especially with Christmas coming up. But then we also have individual kits where, you can come on and you can buy the hot mess burger. You can buy the Mac Attack burger that Guy Fieri liked. You can buy the hot mess burger that Rachel Ray liked.
And how are you shipping these? Are you just packing them with dry ice or what?
So we use, we have these insulated liners that go in a box. We don't use dry ice because we figured out that dry ice doesn't work when you have stuff in the box that doesn't need to be frozen. So we use gel packs. And what we did was we spent a few months going back and forth with the company that we buy these insulated products from, making sure that we got it down pat. So now we really have the science down and it works great. All
right, Chuck, very good. As you keep building this, where's the best place for people to connect with you online if they want to follow your journey?
Follow us at bostonburgerco.com or burgabox.com.
All right, guys, I talked about this earlier, but I schedule like so many meetings it would blow your mind. I mean, all my podcast interviews, right? Hundreds of entrepreneurs I talk to monthly. I schedule, and you know what? I do it so efficiently. I get them all to agree to my calendar, so all the calls are back to back to back. That means I'm not switching in between tasks all day long. I get them to batch so that I can be very efficient. It's so critical. And I use a tool called Acuity Scheduling to do this at nathanlacka.com/schedule. It eliminates the back and forth between me and people I'm trying to meet with. It makes it very simple. And most importantly, they help me keep my no-show rate very low because they send out reminders. Helps you look very professional. So go to nathanlacka.com/schedule to sign up. And you get a great deal. You guys know this. I hit people hard. I make great deals. And Gavin, the CEO, has given us a great deal. If you sign up like normal people, okay, on their website, you only get a 14-day free trial. If you use my link, nathanlacka.com/schedule, you get 45 days free. Okay, it's the best. It's free. Go to nathanlacka.com/schedule right now to sign up, and I'll see you there. All right, Top Tribe, we'll link that in the show notes at nathanlacka.com/the-top521. Again, /the-top521. All right, Chuck, it's time for the famous five. These are one-word answers. You ready?
Go.
Number one, what's your favorite business book?
Quench Your Thirst. I just read it from Jim Koch, Boston Beer Company.
Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
Since I read that book, I really like what Jim Koch has done with Sam Adams. I think he's great.
Number three, is there a favorite online tool you have, like Acuity Scheduling?
Right now, I'm really into this tool called Hotjar that we figured out about a week ago. I've been on it nonstop for the last week.
Yeah, how do you use it? Why do you like it?
It's great to be able to see what people are doing on your site. What attracts them. What they're turned off by. We've figured out some ways to keep people on the site longer, get them to different pages. So I think it's a great tool. Right now, that's what I'm using.
Number four, yes or no? Do you get 8 hours of sleep every night?
No.
And what's your situation? Married, single? You have kids?
Married, 3 kids.
3 kids. Wow. Okay. And how old are you, Chuck?
41.
All right, last question. Take us back 21 years, my man. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I wish I knew that I should have traveled more and spent a lot of time meeting interesting people, because I think that's where you get your inspiration from.
Top Tribe, there you have it from Chuck. He wishes he traveled more. He's going to do. We did 5.5 million via his Boston Burger Company in 2015 over across 3 restaurants. Launched in 2009, did first-year revenue of $700,000 in just 450 square feet of space. Brought on an investor to the tune of $750,000 for his second location. They split it a third in terms of paying back the investor. Net margin super healthy at around 20%. Now expanding into a new line of business at BurgaBox.com, going from nothing to about $400 per month in under 3 months and $16,000 per month in revenue. Chuck, thanks for taking us to the top.
All right, Nathan, thank you.
If you enjoyed Chuck, go back and listen to Nick yesterday. Nick's agency hit $6 million in 2016 revenue by helping over 60 clients with SEO.
Okay, Top Tribe, I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. And don't forget, before you listen to any other episodes, subscribe on iTunes right now for your chance to win $100 every Monday.